Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk with Victory. I'm MIT Janelle, and we have a great show for you today. We always want to start our show by saying thank you to Pastor Tony Smith for allowing us to be here on today. He is the executive producer of all of our talk shows here at Victorious Ministries. Now, we got a good show today. I'm going to say this. It is a known fact that men are different from women. Or maybe it's not, because that's what we're going to talk about on today's show. It's called Gender Differences, and we're going to be talking about gender differences from a woman's perspective. And we have 6 beautiful women here who are going to give us some good old knowledge, right? All right, so let's get right into the show, ladies. Tell me this. Are men and women similar, different, and tell me why?
I actually think that men and women share some similarities. Like it could be on even the views that they have in life. If you wasn't similar in a lot of things, then you wouldn't have relationships. I also think that men, they do differ in their thought process, the way they perceive things, the way they think, their emotions. So I think sometimes we can display irrational ways where a man can just be the opposite of that.
I think men and women are completely different. We're meant to be different. We were built different. The design from the beginning, Adam was a man and he needed a woman. So God created that. And so we are different. Now, if we're talking about thought patterns, things alike, of that nature, then sometimes, but for the most part, men and women even think different. They operate different. The way that we think is way out there, and the way that a man thinks is right here. So I think they're different.
Now, Nisha, you were speaking before the show about some differences, especially when it comes to how men process things.
Yes, as women, we could be very vocal and we'll talk and we can go on a tangent and just be flowing with our feelings, and they could be silent. And sometimes we feel like they're not listening, they don't understand, when really they're processing, they're listening so they could respond, as opposed to us getting it all out. So we act different sometimes, we think different sometimes, and we handle things differently at times.
Now let me pause real quick. Now, if you haven't had the opportunity to like, share, and comment, all men and women can do that the same real quick. You can just hit the like button, you can hit the share button, and you can all comment as the show is going on. Kim, tell me about some differences.
So I was just going to add to what Nisha said. I think we do act, men and women do think and act different. There are some similarities in which we complement one another, but I think we differ because I think for women, we also, because we're nurturers, we maybe a little emotional, in my opinion, I think we consider more. I think men are more direct. But I think when we handle certain situations, I think we're more like detailed and we consider, like, prime example, when we're talking about jobs, right?
Right.
Who's better, men or women? In my opinion, the way we would handle a certain situation, women handle it a little different because I think we consider the entire picture. I think the man, he just looks at what's in front of the face, like what's face. But we consider everything as a whole before we respond, is my opinion.
That's good. Tell me about some stereotypes that when it comes to men and women. And Lavelle, you are so ready. Go ahead. Let us know.
I think that's a big one. Kim just hit that one right on the head, that women are detail-oriented and men kind of see the thing that's in front of them. I think that's a big stereotype. I'm sorry if I come off supporting the brothers, but I think we really limit men and how we see them and what we think they can do. I know some very detailed, organized, visionary men who are comprehensive in their thinking. I know some women who are very narrow-minded, task-oriented, and only see the thing in front of them. So I think we stereotype by how we want to put people in a box based on gender and expect every person in that gender to perform that way.
That's good.
Well, I love your opinion.
I love yours too.
I love your opinion, and you help me to see a different side. And when I'm saying it, I'm not saying all men. I'm just saying majority of the men for me that I've noticed are women. We kind of look at the whole picture versus a male. They just look at what's in front of them.
And that's the definition of a stereotype. It's going to take you straight
And see, I think
to it's just a shortcut for the brain.
I agree with both of y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that we do look at, we see things as the whole, or we look at, sometimes we make snap decisions as a woman. We make snap decisions. But if we want to talk about stereotypes, I'm going to try to reel this back in. Stereotypes, that women should know how to cook. Women should know when to be quiet. Women should raise the children. Some people think women should not work, or women should only have certain kinds of jobs. Those are stereotypes. Some people think that men should only have certain jobs. Men should be the person who pays all the bills, because I don't want to just, focus on the women. A man shouldn't wear certain kinds of clothing. He's supposed to be a manly man. A man shouldn't cry. Things like that are stereotypes. So
Yeah, men should know how to fix certain things. Men should know plumbing, automotive, how to put the roof on that. Like, the man can't do everything.
Right.
Okay, Lavelle. Okay, cool.
I love the brothers. I do.
Marcella.
Some stereotypes.
Bring some light to this. To this. Come on.
So some stereotypes that a woman shouldn't have a voice, that the man should have the higher voice or speak up, and especially in business, a lot of times they think that when the man said this would be let's move on it.
Yes.
But when the woman said, we got to think about it and work it out. No, it should be equal in that aspect. Also that men are stronger than women, and women can have strength. I know, if you look back, there are women bodybuilders and men bodybuilders. There's an 80-year-old woman that's a bodybuilder, and she turned it down, winning all the awards. So those are some of the stereotypes that, now that we are where we are now in society, have been broken down, and we're like, women are roaring like, hey, wait a minute, we can do it as well.
Do you think, and Nitras, I'm going to let you touch on this. Do you think there are any jobs that only a man should do and only a woman should do? And it's 2023. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe, in my personal opinion, that women should not work in correctional facilities. Only because of my experience. I worked in a prison for almost 10 years, and I learned how to turn certain things off because I had to, because of the environment that I was in. I couldn't wear my hair past my collar. I couldn't wear nail polish. I couldn't wear makeup. I couldn't wear perfume. Those things I got used to not doing because of the job. And then when I was off, I really didn't feel like doing them. So once I got away from it, it was, I'm doing it all now. So I feel like that type of job, it takes away your femininity unless you move up quickly in the ranks. When you move up quickly in the ranks, becoming a lieutenant, a major, and so forth and so on, you are no longer with the inmate population and you are doing desk work. So then you're free to do those things.
Anybody else? Is there
yes,
is there a job that only a man or a woman should be able to do?
I think there's no job that a woman is incapable of doing. For one, if you're actually seeking a certain type of job, as she said, with a correctional officer, you have to also know what you're getting into before you actually go to the job. So that's kind of the rules that comes with being a correctional officer. So I know a lot of correctional officers that they are still feminine, but this is what we require there now. So when you get leave, you can be the woman that you're supposed to be. But for me, I've always been big on equality. So I've always worked in several jobs that was male-dominant jobs. I used to work at the Port of Baltimore, and it's very limited women that work there, and the women that work there, they're in the office. And the women that work there, they don't I'm gonna say they don't display any femininity. They don't have that in them. I'm just gonna say that. So when I was working there, they like, look, you one of the boys. I did everything, draw with stick. I did every test that the men did. I actually passed. They said, you like I said, you one of the boys. So I don't think so. I mean, and another example is, if you at a warehouse and say a man is able to lift 30 boxes and I'm lifting 15. The point is, I'm still capable of doing the job, but if we have a quota, then that's something different.
Right.
But I'm still, the point, like I said, is I'm capable. So I don't think it's any job. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a tractor-trailer driver. Okay. So I've always admired women that's taken over doing male jobs.
Yeah.
And look what we in 2023. The era is different, so nothing off limits.
I don't think that there's anything, any job that should only require one gender. I think that there is no, if a man can do it, I can do it better. I think that I can do it too. If that's what I put my mind to. And so as far as men and women only having specific jobs or roles, I think you need a balance of both. Because if you don't, if there were only men doctors, how is a woman going to feel comfortable? Right. And some men don't feel comfortable going to a woman doctor.
Yeah.
And so you have to have some balance. So there's nothing, I don't think that there's a role. If she want to drive a tractor trailer, drive the tractor trailer. It's no big deal.
Yeah. I have to agree with y'all. It's just some jobs I just would not want to do.
Yeah.
And don't want to do and don't want to do it, because I'd be like, he can do that. But I would agree with you. I don't think I could ever drive a tractor trailer.
I don't think women should put out the trash.
You don't think women should put the trash out?
Yeah, I don't think they should put out.
That's a sin.
That's a job that women should not do.
Yeah. I mean, when you're married, I don't think I should be taking trash out either. But hey, but if it stinks, I'm gonna take it out.
Yeah,
if he's not home, I'm gonna take it out. But if I'm not married. But if I was married and I'd be like, trash gotta go out.
Yeah, we gonna do it because that's just what in our mind we got to get it done.
Right.
I just don't. That's the job that I think women should not have.
Let me ask this: who do you think, man or woman, is a better communicator?
Men.
Oh, tell me why you said a man.
You know why I'm gonna say
I
men?
would have thought you would have said a woman, but go ahead.
I would have, but because we tend to over communicate, like we have to get it all out. Some women, not all women. So I want to make sure that I say that because every woman is not alike. I'm really not big on communication. I'm a say what I said type of girl, and I ain't got nothing else to say. That's what I said, and I'm gonna walk away. Right. That's not very ladylike all the time. But I think that men communicate like they are. That's the way that they are. They wait. They kind of think before they speak. We kind of speak and think at the same time. I'm not gonna say we speak before we think. We speak and think.
Okay.
We think and speak.
Marcella, you thought about something.
I'm gonna piggyback on what Shantae is saying. I think that men communicate clear and oftentimes more concise than women. In addition to wanting to get it all out, sometimes women will communicate a topic or an idea, and they'll say it, but then the man's sitting there like, okay, and where is all of this coming from? Like, it becomes a mountain instead of a molehill. So the men, if they have a issue or something they want to talk about, they're going to say, this is the topic, this is why I don't like about it, this is what I like about it, and that's it. But we seem to build upon, you understand where I'm going with it?
Yeah. Okay. What y'all think about Kim? I felt like you got something to say. Come on, I'm feeling it. Come on.
So I promise y'all I don't bash men. I just think that in my experience, what I view, what I hear, I think women communicate better. I think sometimes as women, in communication, you also have to be a good listener. And sometimes I feel like men do not listen to women, and that's a part of communication. So when they see us going like this, but they're not listening. What's behind it? And I think that's important. So I think women, we express ourselves, and when men talk, I feel like we we listen, but I don't feel like we get that.
Do we listen though?
I know.
Yeah, we
I was gonna say that.
I listen.
No, I'm not saying, you know,
I may
you
not
do.
agree, but I listen.
Yeah, because you know, the reason why I'm saying I'm on the men's side. Now, let me break this down real quick. I'm not saying that I think women communicate, but it doesn't mean they communicate better.
Right.
Because men communicate in their way. And I think that when we communicate, we just do so much of it. And sometimes the man is listening, but he don't need to hear all the extra stuff. He just want to hear the point. And I say that because that's the way that I am. Like, I have a 22-year-old, almost. And she talks and she starts talking about something, and I'm so frustrated because I'm just like, well, what's the point? Like, you saying all of this stuff, like, I was at work today and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, she like, and the lady tried to hit me. I'm like, you could have led in with that. Like,
You buried the lead.
yeah, like, just get to the point. And I think that's the way that men think. Like, I hear you, and you think that I don't hear you, but I'm trying to block out all the because I just want to get to the point so I can, because a man will, prime example, with children. You can yell at these children, y'all need to clean up this room, this house, I've been doing all this. The man come in, clean up your room, and they're going to get up and do it.
Yep. That's absolutely.
Because it's just the way that they communicate. So I'm not saying that, you know, because like one is better at it than the other. I'm just saying that I do think that men, because they are direct, they're to the point. But when we get too much, like, we communicate a lot, but it does not mean that we're better at it.
And I was going to add, that was good. I was going to add, you know, oftentimes as single women, we're so used to talking to our girlfriends or our friends, and we want to share everything. But then when you get into a relationship with a man, they don't want to hear all of that. You know, they'll tell you quickly, hey, you're telling me this why? I'm not one of your girlfriends. Like,
Some of them do.
I don't want to
You
hear
do
that.
have men that say, come in and tell me about your day, which I appreciate. They want to hear, because they want to let you, but they also want you to do the same too. How was your day? Because sometimes you do have a man that he might not have a half an hour conversation, but he might want to express to you, you know, how his day was, or just for you to ask him.
Let's go back to Shantae mentioned about the parenting and how you want to go back to this. Okay, great minds think alike. So when you said that the woman to say to the kids, clean your room, and they're like, they ain't do it, but then the man comes in and he says it. What is that? Is it the strength of a man? Is it just because a man makes you feel? Why?
It's the authority. It's the authority
Why?
figure. It's the authority in the man. It depends on how the children see your roles as well, because it doesn't matter if the man is in the house or if it's your husband, you know, he's in the house, or whatever your relationship is. If the man is in the house, it depends on how you two interact, and the woman makes the children see that the man has this role or that authority, the father. Because if not, then sometimes you have children who are not going to respect him because they want to just say mommy.
Dawn, what you think?
I was also thinking that, actually, I just said it yesterday because our grandson was over, and I was telling my husband, I said, well, wait a minute. I said, you could come in and just, and it's funny because I've worked with kids throughout the years, and I'm like, I can't put him to sleep. I can't do this certain things. And my husband could come right in, and it's something about his presence or the way he executes things and the way he talks and his voice that our grandson listens. And I said, well, wait a minute, is it just my voice? Because he just laughs at me. You know, and he just don't pay me any attention. I'm like, well, maybe it's because my voice is funny. As soon as my husband say, stop it, it's like, okay, stop it. You know, so it might be like you said, that authority.
I think children, I think children respect roles the way that they see them played out. So if mommy doesn't respect daddy, then 9 times out of 10, if they're in the same household and they see mommy just, you know, saying whatever and diminishing, demeaning, whatever the case may be, or always, you know, just she's the person. But you do have those men who don't say much. Like, I know, like my kid's father, he'll be like, okay, we're going to do this, but go ask your mother. Like, go talk to mommy. Did you talk to mommy? So it balances our roles.
Lavelle.
I'm ready. So
I feel like Lavelle always gonna put a spin on it. Go ahead.
no, I ain't trying to be. But, so to what Shantae was saying before, like how men and women communicate, and women say so much. I think the same thing happens in parent-child relationships. The woman may come in, clean up. There's so much emotion. There's so much extra information for a child's young mind to really try to filter through, to figure out what it is you want them to do. Where a man may come in and say, clean the room. No emotion, in his authority, and the thing is done. I think that's indicative of the differing communication styles. Like, who can wade through all that emotion and extra detail?
What about in career? With this same question, communication between the differences with how men and women communicate on the job. Do you see a difference? Is there a difference?
I see a difference in my job. I work in mental health, and I work around a lot of men that are doctors, and they have the top degrees, make a lot of money, but then they want to come back and want to know what I think. And I'm like, okay, so I give them in-depth descriptions, and I guess they can't process that, so they need that from a woman. So I think both are needed because they are different and come together and make it work.
I think in the professional sense, the person who gets results gets the respect. So having to be a woman in leadership and, different things and different capacities in corporate America, if you get results, if you are leading the project, if you get people to the desired end goal under budget and on time or ahead of schedule, then people will listen to you regardless of being a woman, I find. But you have to be good at what you do. Whereas a man may just be able to say that because of his seniority or his specific role. I feel like women do have to show the same kind of results that men do in order to be received.
I think the world has changed a lot regarding roles and genders. We still are in a predominantly male world, no matter what field you're in, but they also recognize and respect the necessity of a woman to be able to lead. And like you said, Laval, it depends on the person who gets the results. That's the person, who is deemed necessary or respected at that moment. I work for doctors, directors, VPs, but when things come down to the wire, I'm not the lowest on the totem pole, but I'm under them. I'm under the directors and the doctors, but they come back to me and say, hey, boss lady, what do you think?
Because they know that, even though those roles sometimes are inhabited most by women, we're closest to the ground. We're like, or either we're in the middle of the entire process, so we can see the entire thing from a place that they can't. They may be here, they may be seniors or leaders or vice presidents, but they don't have the day-to-day exposure, operations knowledge, or administrative knowledge that so many of, maybe sometimes women on their teams do. So that's, you said earlier the word balance. I think that balance is so key. Or you said something about being complementary. That's why we need each other, and not to be identical to each other, but to really realize we have different strengths that we can balance out.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say both are very important, especially in education. Today, you're finding that the female population, women, outweigh the men in education when we need more men. However, both are very effective, but it's a mutual respect of the community stakeholders as well as the children for them to be able to be balanced and for the school or the individuals to be successful. So it's a give and take in how that person manages and how that person leads that makes the difference of that whole environment of the educational system.
So I was just going to say, I like what you said. I think it's important that men and women lead, especially depending on the situation, the population, where you are. I think it's very important because sometimes a woman leading can be more effective than a man depending on the population they're speaking to or they're trying to direct, versus a male may, just if they're speaking to a whole bunch of boys or a whole bunch of men, a male role is more, to me, is more valuable than a woman would be in that perspective.
Absolutely.
I would agree with all of you all, and I do think a man and a woman should both lead. But let me ask this question: how hard is it? Is it a difference in getting to the top for a man as it is to a woman? And
Absolutely.
tell me why, why or why not?
The ceiling is definitely still there. I think the main thing for women in this day and time, in terms of when you're talking about corporate America, business, even in education across the board, you have to be a person who can advocate for yourself. And you have to be able to speak and sell your own worth and your value and make yourself seen, because if you think, oh, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to do the best work ever and they're just going to move me, it will never happen. So you must be able to vocalize your self-worth, not allowing anyone to diminish what you're capable of doing and who you are. And that's how you're able to start seeing yourself rise, And then also letting your haters be your motivators. Let them be your stepping stool, your footstool to get there. And don't just discount them. Like, there's oftentimes you have people who may not like the fact that you're capable of leading a certain way and they're not able to, but don't hate them, don't discount them. Say, hey, look, I understand that you don't, or that you see something in me that I'm able to do. Let me show you how it's done. And that's how you turn them around to be able to support you instead of hating you.
I think that we, again, are still in a male-dominated world, and no matter what a woman does or what she achieves, attains, we still have to fight to get to position. And it doesn't matter. We see that in the kingdom. Let's just be frank. There are still men who don't believe that women should do this and do that. Pastors, bishops, whatever. And in corporate America, in healthcare, there are ceilings that, people sit on top of the roof and you're just not going to get past that ceiling, no matter if you have the equal education, whatever the case may be. Now, they're going to come to you behind the closed door to get we have a black female vice president. And guess what she's going to be? The vice president. Because we in a male-dominated world. Now, things may change. I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just saying just look at that. Just look where we are, and she may have the capabilities, the knowledge, the wisdom to be the president, but she's going to have to fight to get to that position. It doesn't mean that she's not qualified. It just means that because of the way that the world thinks and the way that it's been since the beginning of time, that the male is supposed to, and they are supposed to cover, they are supposed to lead. But in this day and time, and even back then, because there were things where, God let women speak and say what they needed to say, do what they needed to do to get it done, because that's what needed to be done. But because some people won't train or change their minds, that's just where we are.
That's good. Well, this has been a good show, and I am elated to be among women leaders. You all are an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you're an inspiration to those who are watching. If you have enjoyed the show, please comment. Let us know. We definitely read the comments. If you haven't had the opportunity to hit the like button, hit the share button. We want you to be a part of Victorious Ministries and hear the word of God from our great man of God, Pastor Tony Smith. Join us on Sundays at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. On Wednesdays, we have a 12 noon and a 6 p.m. service that is online only. We pray that this show has inspired you, that you've learned something, and we want to see you again next time. So until then, you have a blessed and a victorious day. Bye-bye.